Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I start with the name of Allah, the Omnipresent, the Omnipotent, and the Omniscient. A very warm welcome to the Voice of CA, Pakistan. As the name shows, it's the voice of chartered accountants. So, what we do in this particular forum is we invite distinguished leaders who have been part of, who are actually the chartered accountants, and they have been part of the various industries across Pakistan. And these people then come over here, share their wisdom, share their experiences, share their expertise as well, which becomes a more like a continued learning experience for those people who are watching these episodes. So, topic for today's episode is going to be about the future of banking. What we are talking about will be how the digital transformation will be having an impact on the banking sector, specifically in Pakistan. As we know that we are living in a digital era, sort of a thing, and the pace at which the technologies are changing, the things are becoming obsolete much earlier than it used to be. AI is in the air. I think each one of us listening must have noticed that the little blue icon that has now appeared in the WhatsApp, which is the integration of Meta AI into the WhatsApp. Same way, the Android phones are getting the Gemini icon automatically, wherein they're giving the immense power into the hands of the common people for to transfer their imagination into some sort of positive things. So that's what the topic of today is. So I would like to introduce you a bit about myself. This is Tanveer. I provide IT leadership at United Energy, and I have got a very distinguished business finance leader, which is Armugan Kausar Ahmed, and he is the Chief Compliance Officer at one of the leading bank, Habib Bank Limited. And Armugan, a little bit about yourself.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, Tanveer. So I qualified in 2000 from A.F. Ferguson's. Been overseas for till 18 years, working in investment banks in London as well as Middle East consulting firms. And in 2018, I came back to Pakistan and joined HPL. And since then, I've been with HPL in two roles. Now I am the Chief Compliance Officer.
Excellent. I think one of the Zabardast part is that it's been 3 decades.
Yeah.
And when I was going through your profile, like I noticed that you have been part of the three of the big fours. So you have been with KPMG, you have been PwC, you have been with EY.
जी.
Deloitte से कोई दुश्मनी रही मतलब why not Deloitte anywhere?
Never say never. No, I've got lots of friends in Deloitte, but I have, the reality is, Tanveer, I've been on both sides, right?
Okay.
So I have done advisory, I've done practitioner roles, I've done hardcore auditing, transformation in Europe, also involved in US and in Middle East. So Alhamdulillah, in my experiences, God has been very kind to me.
I think this is excellent. I think this is the time to pay forward. I think that's the purpose that you are over here. You will be sharing your wisdom and experiences. So we'll start off the discussion specifically about the future of banking. And taking a step back instead of directly jumping into the thing, I think the key thing which we all are concerned about is about the economy of Pakistan.
Yeah.
And we also heard the very recent news wherein we have seen that the IT exports to Saudi has just touched in the month of April for $300 million, which shows a huge potential in there. How do you see the digital transformation impacting the economy of Pakistan? Taking us a little bit from the backseat,
Sure.
and then jumping into how can the banking sector will be helping it out.
No, so very, very relevant, Tanveer. So we are in a point where we are moving into uncharted territory. Pakistan is emerging economy, 250 plus million population. In terms of financial inclusion, we can quote numbers of maybe 30%, 35%. And women folks having, for the first time ever, their ratio has moved into a double digit, first time ever. So those are the basic numbers in terms of the accounts and the wallets which we have. Now, moving forward, and in the last 5 years, if you look back, all the traditional banks, including HPL, have had a transformational financial inclusion kind of a spurge or an inclusion. So we were at around 10 million customers approximately 5-6 years ago. And now we are almost touching 40 million. That's all due to financial inclusion. Now, it's easier said than done. What is happening in those financial inclusion wallets is probably the use cases are very limited, right? Mm-hmm. They are being used, even if the active ones, you can again make a guess, 20 to 30% of those 30% are active. And what do we mean by active? Salaries coming through for many of our folks, our countrymen, and they're being distributed.
The money comes in, money
and
goes
it
out.
goes out. But the real financial inclusion, I think it's a big opportunity for banks to do two things. A, focus on financial inclusion, and secondly, capacity building. Because what I mean by capacity building is what are we actually doing with those segments of the population for which we have done financial inclusion, like women folks, agriculture, the SME part. So that is where making that financial inclusion real. And a classic example is, are we lending to those individuals?
True, true.
Are we giving them microfinances? Are we giving them micro insurances? Are we helping those agro economists or agronomists and people जो जरी काम कर रहे हैं? I think Pakistan की economy, it's fundamental to our existence,
True.
right? Especially when we operate at scale like our institution and we talk about creating relevance and creating capacity. So I think I'm very, very hopeful and I'm very, very excited about the digital impacts which will have on banking in coming times to come and even now. Because I think there is a real opportunity to transform and upgrade the banking as well as the customer experience and the economy of Pakistan.
Sorry to cut you out, but just you have touched base on two important aspects. One is the agriculture part, in terms of financial inclusivity, and second is in terms of the woman empowerment. And how do you see these two things? Because when we talk of digital wallets, we have Kareem, because my money is there in the Kareem app as well. Similarly, I've got the money in the Food Panda app as well. And but how is that helping the new startups in a way, because they will be coming to the banks to get the loans, and HPL has been a big supporter on that particular aspect. But how do you see women empowerment and the financial in increasing the financial inclusivity along with the agriculture space?
You see, so you're absolutely right. What we have seen is the women in terms of women entrepreneurs, right? Especially operating in the small of the SME, right? So there is a significant chunk. What needs to happen in the ecosystem for these individuals and these business segments to be able to get the financing which they need is around what you just mentioned on the startup ecosystem, right? In Pakistan, we are at we can call it the stage 2 of digitalization, because we have had that journey in the last 10 years when the telco banks have been operating. We are used to them. Now, I think in terms of these startups, be it the agri-techs, be it the individual techs, you gave the example of Daraz, you gave the example of Kareem, right? So now these institutions have moved in the last 10 years from cash on delivery, they're now moved to card on delivery.
True.
It's a significant move. Now the next stage would be that the ecosystem players like banks are tying up with these startups. They are tying up with local businesses.
Excellent.
Hence, what's going to happen is that their cash flows and their business models are going to be looked through the lens of the banking transactions. Guess what? All the payments in very near future would be seamless and would be kind of cost-free.
True.
Because State Bank of Pakistan, and its vision for the future of Pakistan, is now introducing big time the QR codes. So with the QR codes, any payment I make to the Darzi, it's just going to be a scan of a QR and I'll be able to make the payment. I know there would be challenges who would say कि जी tax का मसला है ये है, but trust me, the way it's coming and the way it brings the ease to the customer experience, you would see a lot of small businesses, the Karyana walas and everyone around us are using QR as a medium. So when that happens, it becomes much easier for banks to lend to these sectors. Women, small players, and banks will be approaching them that, okay, we see your cash flows. We see where the capital is stuck up. We can help you, unlock that capital. So I think the ecosystem players then, will have to come together, which is happening as we speak.
True.
So this is the second stage of digitalization in the economy.
And I think the very pertinent example that you quoted about the QR codes, because we have seen the example in our neighboring countries, wherein most of the people must have seen it got viral a couple of months back, there was a lady who was selling the putta, the honestly, and she has got one solar plate on it, which was running a fan, so she don't have to do the hand हाथ के पंखे से वो नहीं झलना पड़ रहा था, and that fan was running from a solar plate, and she has got a QR code there on. So whoever is coming and the people are coming and they stopping the car by the side of the road and scanning it the QR code, and the money was going, and she was in no way a literate woman. She was she was just a normal lady, but yes, that's where the woman inclusivity I think we are aspiring to, with the help of QR codes, with the help of digitalization, with the help of the back end thing that you just talked about.
Yeah, so I think the two very important factors, you rightfully gave that example, is the payments getting free and the ecosystem getting created. So the real tangible lending can happen to those sectors.
True.
So you look at the economies like Indonesia, for example, India, right? Through digitalization, the studies show that they have almost gotten delta or an increment of 5 to 20% to their GDP.
Okay.
Right? That's very significant.
Huge.
So we are just scratching the surface as we speak.
True.
So I think we as market players have a big role to play in HBL and rest of the players. So it's a big opportunity, and I'm very hopeful that this inshallah would be a pivot in times in very near times to come.
Inshallah,
and we'll have to play our role as well.
Thank you. I think you've very rightly mentioned we have to play our role. That goes के शिकवा जुल्मत शब से तो कहीं बेहतर था, अपने हिस्से की शमा जलाते जाते. So thank you, Armagan, for sharing the lovely thoughts.